just reflecting on England, first of all, Jamie Carragher said 1 or 2 players at the most from this current team would get into the 2002-2006 team, and the same with 96 and 98 as well. Do you agree with those sentiments? What are your thoughts at the moment?
I'm not involved in that debate.
Moving on. I just wonder what your thoughts though are on Conor not getting any game time away with England during this international break.
It's Gareth Southgate's team to pick out of the squad. He picks Conor pretty religiously in recent times in his squad. I understand why. The level of player he is, the level of person. The rest is up to Gareth to choose his starting 11. Can
you sum up though the kind of impact that Conor and James Tarkowski have had, that partnership that they formed at centre half for you?
Yeah, clearly it's been a big plus for us. They've got great attitudes. They've rubbed off in the dressing room in their own ways. 2 captains, Seamus is always captain of this club while he's here, and their performances and the consistency levels have been really good, and that's what we aspire to, and it's been great as a solid base that we were looking for in the team. But these things are always things that must be continually worked on, and it's not just Conor and Tarky, it's the team defensively. Can we keep the solidity that we've found so far this season?
Great example for the younger players as well, and I'm just thinking of attitude and Anthony Gordon. He says, I'm 100% focused on making the World Cup squad. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's out of my control, but I'll definitely give it my best try. I'll need to score a lot of goals in the next couple of games. I'm ready for that challenge. I'm hopeful again. I suppose that's the attitude you want. And how do you rate his chances moving forward?
Gareth's decision. I mean, I can't talk for him, and I know there's a lot of competition in that area of the pitch with England. You watch, and there's a lot of quality players in there, and Anthony just has to keep working and working on all parts of his game, not just the goals. Goals are a huge part of it, of course, if you can get to that level, because top wingers get big numbers, and Anthony will want to do that. But there's a lot for his game. He's a developing player, but it's good that he's in the conversation. He just has to play.
You've been in that position yourself. What's your advice for Anthony? A young player, and obviously he's got that kind of focus in his head. And how do you, I suppose, control his mindset that it benefits Everton to the greatest extent possible?
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, you get asked in the media, and people will talk about you with England, but I don't think you have to think about it. I think you just have to play and train every day. And how can you keep improving? He's very attentive like that, Anthony. You can have good conversations with him. He knows areas of his game that he needs to improve and wants to improve, and he just needs to focus absolutely on that. The rest is just naturally will come.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin, any chance for him this weekend? Are we still looking at a bit more time?
Yeah, we're considering it. I think Dominic, we're working to make sure he comes back in the best fitness and strength for us. So we'll see on that one.
How's it all affecting him, Frank? Because obviously he wants to play. I'd imagine it's, as time goes on, it becomes more and more frustrating for him now. Again, particularly because there's still the chance of a World Cup as well. Yeah,
I think any player that has injuries, and this sort of like recurrence of injuries that he's had a difficult time. It's difficult for them to deal with, because they're here, they'll want to play, and they're frustrated when they don't play. But all you can ask for is that the players keep doing the right things to get themselves in the best condition, whether it's rehabbing or when they get back to on pitch, they work around that. And then our responsibility as staff, myself and medical and all my staff, is to work with them and find the best way with a player that's had a few of those injuries. So we're always searching for the best way to get Dominic fit and keep him fit, because we know the level of player. He's shown that here previously.
What frustration do you have? Because obviously someone like Dominic does give another dimension to your side.
Yeah, it's just a fact, and injuries are unfortunate. We've suffered a lot, even now when we feel quite strong. We're in a good place mentally, the group. But you look at our team and you go, missing Dominic, missing Ben Coffey, missing Yerry Mina, missing Mason Holgate, missing Andros Townsend, and those, they're big players. So it's unfortunate, but it's modern day football, and you can't cry too much about it, because you just got to try and hope that the players that come in do a job. Neil Maupay did a great job in our last game.
And now missing Nathan Patterson as well. You've got someone of the quality of Seamus Coleman to come in, but I'd imagine, given the way that Nathan has taken his chance this season, it's a blow for you. It's a blow for him, most importantly.
Yeah, it's a blow for us all, because he's been fantastic. There's no doubt. His level of performance has been great. Consistency, drive, bringing energy into the team. And one thing I will say is that Seamus has been the biggest supporter of that. He's such an amazing teammate in terms of advising Pats and helping him, supporting him when he's been playing well. So no worries about Seamus coming into the team. I'm always hopeful that we get minutes out of Seamus, because he has a big influence on the pitch. Not in this situation. We want Pats back as soon as possible. I think the sort of 4 or 5 week estimate is probably a bit positive from what our first thoughts were. So on that side of it, let's hope we can get him back quickly.
How do you assess the test that you have this weekend as well? Obviously, Southampton lost their last 2, both away, but prior to that, they come from behind to beat Chelsea, of course.
And they're a strong team. There's no doubt. There's a change of style this season from their previous years. It's quite evident in the way they play. But they've got some good results this year. A good manager, good players, good attitude in the team, recruited energy and youth into the team, and an interesting way of playing, so it'll be a big test.
It's finally, for me, easy for us to say, it's important to build on that first Premier League win of the season, but it certainly would put a different complexion on the start to the season as well, wouldn't it, given how tight the places are still at the moment?
Sure. So we worked very hard with the players, and we felt we deserved a bit more in that first block of games before the break, but we didn't get it, and we are where we're at. West Ham was a good result, but the improvement is because of the work. I think we brought in good players, and we've just spoken about some of those. But it's the work that we do on the training pitch, and it's the consistency of that work, and not anyone getting complacent because there's a good feeling and we've got a good result. It's really important now that we work, and if we can get a result against Southampton and back it up, then it will show progress. But that needs to be absolutely to keep going day after day, week after week.
Seems so long since that West Ham game now, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it's been a nice break for some of us to have a weekend off. I know everyone misses the Premier League, but sometimes it's nice to have a Saturday with your children too.
Cheers, all the best.
Thank you.
Let's go to Mike at Radio Merseyside.
Hi Frank. You've had a real solid look about you all season long, but how impressed have you been by the new look midfield that you have now? Alex Iwobi, we've spoken about his improvement in form, and Nana has already made an impact. Idrissa Garner looks as though he's never been away, and all of a sudden there's a better balance. Everton aren't easy to play through, and it adds to the solidity and reduces the pressure on the back four as well.
Yeah, defending is a collective, and at times I think last year we didn't defend well enough. Some games where we would concede 1, we could concede 2, 3, all those things. So that was high in my thinking and our thinking in the recruitment process in the summer. But I think the other thing is that's important to say is that I think we brought in players and have good competition in midfield now. It's the work that we do on the training ground to be more solid and to communicate with the players what we want on and off the ball. And I think so far you can see glimpses of the work against West Ham. There's a lot more to do because this Premier League is so ruthless that if you step off, you will concede and things won't go your way. So, as I sort of previously said, it's important that we keep that work. But the midfield and the energy in there and the competition for places is a real positive of the squad at the minute.
Talking about competition for places, particularly in that midfield area, Tom Davies possibly unlucky to not be in the team given how well he played against Liverpool. Doucoure's back and fit again. He used him last time out as a substitute. And James Garner, who we've not seen in Everton share, but got a great review from Lee Carsley for the role that he played for England under-21s in midweek. And how impressed have you been with him in training, and how close is he to being involved?
I'm really impressed. And you're right about Tom Davies. I think he was unfortunate. They're tough decisions, and I spoke with Tom. I get on really well with Tom, and he was not understanding of it. Wants to play, but he's when I have 6 midfield players, if it's for 3 positions, I have to have those conversations and I have to have everyone ready to go at all times. So Tom was unfortunate. Dukes is now back fit, and James Garner when he came wasn't fit. He declared that to me, as in the process of leaving at Manchester United had left him training not at the level. So West Ham he was kind of fit for. It's great that he played a game and played so well for the 21s, and now he's ready to go. So he's impressed me in training very much as a lad and as a player. That's why we brought him here. He's a real potential for the now and for the future.
And Neil Maupay's had a proper focal point since his introduction, and winning goal with a great finish against West Ham. But still a shortage of clear-cut opportunities. But if you look, say, at the driving runs against West Ham from Damari Gray in particular, and we've seen it early on this season with Anthony Gordon, does there need to be more players taking a gamble on getting in on the end of those and making late runs that we haven't seen so far?
We did see that against West Ham, and that was the impressive thing from our point of view in terms of watching the game back and in terms of the data and the statistics. And the reality is we played the start of the season without a real number 9, and that affects how you approach can you cross when you don't have a real number 9, and all those things, and you build up play. And so for me, that was what the positives of West Ham were. They're a difficult team to break down. They defend pretty deep. They're very organised. And I thought with the amount of crosses and entries into the final third and all these things that we always look at, were up and positive. So I agree in a sense this season we need to do more of that. I think there are circumstances around that. And again, it's the work and the repetition to make us more dangerous in terms of all things. Crossing, arriving into the box occupation, making sure wingers don't think they're on the touchline, they have to be in the box, that's where the goal is. Eights arriving into the box. We saw that against West Ham, so we're working on things coming together.
Thanks, Mike. We'll go to Damien at Premier League Productions.
Hi, Frank. Is Jordon Pickford good to go?
Yes.
Nice
Good
and
news.
simple. Just tell us what the journey has been like and how far Everton have come since you last played Southampton, middle of last season, in February, I think.
Feels a very long time ago to myself. It was one of our early games as a staff coming here, and after a good start, we felt in our first game at home against Brentford, it came, I think, maybe my third game or so, and we were poor on the day. And it was an eye-opener for ourselves, I think, of the work that was there to be done. And I think we're in that process, and we have come far because we've had time to look at the squad, to make changes to the squad, and to continue the work, which I keep saying that word in this press conference for some reason, but it feels very relevant to us because it's the only way I see that you get better, and I think we are better. I know we're better than when we last went to Southampton, but maybe so are they. And again, this is the Premier League, so the games won't have an absolute relevance, but we feel like we're in a better place.
Thanks, Damien. Alistair at the BBC.
Hi, Frank. You might have seen Fabian Delph retired this week.
Yeah.
Did that come as a bit of a surprise to you?
No. I have a good relationship with Delph, and I spoke with him at the back end of last season. I knew it was on the cards. I spoke to him when he in the break once the season finished, and I knew it was on the cards. And I just want to congratulate him on a great career, because I think he did have a really positive career. I played against him. He played for his country a good few times, and he was a big part of us staying in the league last year in that cameo of a few games that he played. And I wish him well in the choices he makes going forward.
You mentioned the injuries early on that you've been affected. I don't know if you've seen, but there's been a report out overnight about the Premier League suffering more injuries than any other league in Europe last season. I just wondered what you thought a solution to that was, if there is a solution, given the sort of fixture congestion that's often talked about.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution is. One positive was making the 5 sub rule, I think, that can come on, because I think it allows you to use your squad a bit better and mix up the minutes. The congestion thing for us, I've managed the team in the Champions League who play more regularly, and I've managed in the Championship and all those things, so I don't feel hugely that congestion is a huge problem for us. We love watching the product, everybody does, the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, all the games that we play, so I'm not sure where we can help in terms of the schedule. Just a bit of common sense through the season at different times to make sure that teams that are not playing too close together. I think it's all possible with good thought and good practice. And the reality is that we're in the best, most physical and demanding league in the world. So maybe that's why we're top of the tree in a negative way.
Plus, we're entering now a kind of a stage of season which is a bit unprecedented, isn't it? With the World Cup coming up in November. How are you sort of approaching your team and telling your team to approach this kind of, it's almost like a mini season now, isn't it? Have you set any targets for this period?
Get as many points as you can in the 8 games we've got. It's really clear. It is a mini league, you're right. And we just went into an international break and we felt good because we beat West Ham and the league table looked better. So we want to get as many points as we can in the 8 games. And then everyone goes their ways and whatever, either a bit of a break or go and play for their countries in the World Cup. So it's an interesting season, I think, in a good way, because it's exciting for us. How many points can we get in 8 games to put ourselves in a good position for when we start again?
I realise you don't want to talk too much about Gareth Southgate's selection issues, but do you think the impression you got from the last 2 games, and obviously there's been criticism of the team, do you think England reached their peak at the Euros whenever it was, a couple of years ago? Or do you think there's more to come from this team heading into the World Cup?
I think there can be more to come from them. I think they're a young team in many ways, and knowing how football is, having played international football, I played in many a game in my career that looked like the Italy game looked like, and also the Germany game. It's tough international football, and maybe going into a World Cup with a little bit of a reduction in expectation, but still with a really quality squad and a really good manager's proven already, him and with Gareth and Steve and his team, that they can get to a semi-final of a World Cup, a final of a Euros, and we have a real quality squad. So I don't believe they've peaked, and I really hope that they can prove that right.
What do you make of the criticism of Southgate that's happened in the last sort of couple of games or over the last couple of months?
I think it's in some parts harsh, and when I say some parts, it's something that we all sign up to in our own ways, and the England job is right up there for pressure. And fair play to Gareth is that I think he's very articulate in how he deals with the criticism, whether he listens to it or not, but all these press conferences and everything he says and how he handles himself is second to none for me in the game. So I think it's we're at a stage now where it's very normal. I'm not going to sit here and say people can't criticise. I think if things are constructive and people have opinions, great, but once this World Cup comes in the build up to it, it'll be great if everyone can really get behind the team and Gareth, and because I think with everyone fighting in the same direction, it's much easier to try and have a successful competition.
Do you think though that some fans kind of get the sense sometimes that England play with a handbrake on, and maybe when they are let loose a bit as they were against Germany in the second half, they can show their true potential?
Yeah, but there'll always be those opinions. I think we all get them, and you have to understand that. I remember the team, fantastic French team that won the last World Cup without really planned beautiful football. I remember watching it through, and sometimes modern day football there are lots of different styles and ways to win a game, and I think it will be absolutely up to Gareth's decision about how they approach an Iran or USA compared to how they approach another type of team further into the competition if we get there. So I think, whilst he's in charge, I think you give him his head to make those decisions, and when you look at the history of Gareth as an England manager, he's made many good decisions that have got them pretty far, and let's hope he can go one step further.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alistair. We'll just go to Carl, the Press Association.
Hi, Frank. You've spoken about what you want from the next period up to the World Cup. We've also spoken about Anthony Gordon trying to be focused on getting a place in the World Cup. Is it a consideration you have to have with the players, because we're in a unprecedented situation where there's a World Cup in the middle of the season, whereas normally players would have a whole season to stake their claim? You've got to have a consideration for what players are thinking heading up to these next seasons, whether they're trying to get a place in the squad or they're trying to keep their place in the squad by not getting injured. Or
No, I don't think so. I think they're Everton players, and in this period up until November the 12th or so when we play Bournemouth and they all will leave, they just have to give everything for this team. And we always do the same thing. We try and get the best environment, the best care for the players to get them in the best position to perform well. And hopefully if they do that, then come their World Cups or their squads that they go away to, then they'll be in good nick and ready to go. And we talk about that a lot here, don't we? Because people are saying it could be a plus for us in England that we're having a World Cup mid-season rather than at the end of a slog of a season. Maybe that can work for all the players, that they can be in good form going into it. So I don't consider it a simple answer.
I guess it's the same old adage that if you play well for your club, you get picked for your country.
It's really simple, and I think we have to talk about it. And it is what it is, and people will always have opinions. But as for the players themselves, it's play well, and look after yourself, and you will give yourself the best possible chance. And the good thing from us as a club is that at times last year when I was here, international break came and not many players went to play for their countries. Now we've got a bigger group of players that are going and representing their countries in different ways. So that's a plus for us as Everton.
Thanks, Carl. Any further questions in the open section before we move on? No? Okay. We'll now move on to the embargoed section of the newspapers, please.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Cheers.